I'm joined today by one of the greatest creative minds in professional wrestling, one of the best to ever hold a microphone in any field. He is the former manager of CM Punk, he's the former wise man to Roman Reigns, he is the long-running advocate of Brock Lesnar, the oracle behind the vision. He is the mastermind behind ECW and the subsequent cultural shift in pro wrestling that came as a result. He is a WWE Hall of Famer, Paul Heyman. Mr. Heyman, it is an honour to have you speaking to VGC today.
It's such an honor. Why did you offend me right off the bat?
What did I do? I apologise in advance.
One of the greatest minds, not the greatest mind. One of.
I say that purely.
Yeah, I'll put it to you this way. I'll explain this to you. One of is an insult. The greatest is not. If you are in bed with your spouse and after a passionate night of lovemaking, your spouse turns to you and says, "You're one of the greatest lovers I've ever been with." Would you be happy, or would you be looking for a new spouse the next morning? You wouldn't be happy. You'd be filing for divorce. Same thing. One of. I'll do it for you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I am the greatest mind in the history of pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, and/or sports entertainment. I'm a WWE Hall of Famer. I'm the damn GOAT. Here to be interviewed now about multiples of subjects, including WWE 2K26, to wit, the first question I'm being asked is, that's your cue.
Thank you very much. I should just point out,
You're welcome.
I only say one of in respect to Bobby Heenan, and if my spouse had shared a bed with him, I would
He's
have
dead.
no issues.
What's he gonna do?
Okay,
Come back and haunt you because you told the truth and he's no longer the greatest? No, let's have this debate right now. I'm so sick of hearing that name. Okay. Champions has Bobby Heenan managed?
Zero.
You can count them on one hand.
Yeah.
Can't count mine on one. You can barely count them on two. How many WrestleMania main events was he in?
Not many.
The only person who's been in more WrestleMania main events than me is Roman Reigns. If you want to just say, well, that doesn't count because you're a manager, an advocate, a wise man, an oracle. Okay, so let's put it this way. As I'm in people's corners in WrestleMania, the number is 10. So, who's second place? Stephanie McMahon. You know what number she's at? 3. Please tell me how anybody measures up to my accomplishments. Where in the world can you say that Bobby Heenan's even in my league anymore? I managed more and I hate the word manage, but we'll use it for contextual purposes. I managed more champions for a longer period of time, and a longer period of time within their title reigns than anybody else in history. No one even comes close. They're not even in the same universe as me. So you genuflecting respect upon someone that A, is dead, and 2, whose numbers don't match mine, is like saying that your next door neighbor who just hit the $1 million lottery is in the same league as Elon Musk. They're not. And Bobby Heenan's not in mine either.
Well, I apologise if I offended you.
Very good first question.
Thank you.
You're really off on a roll now.
Thank you. In terms of WWE 2K26, which we were here to talk about as well, I was playing the game's CM Punk showcase, and obviously one of the matches in that is ECW Hardcore Heaven 94, which I was really kind of pleasantly surprised to see. Obviously, I think when a lot of people think ECW, they think of the kind of later 90s, or even like the 2006 kind of version. How important is it to you that today's generation of players and wrestling fans get to see the early ECW? Like, I think that pay-per-view was just like a couple of weeks before the name change from Eastern.
I don't think anybody that chants ECW in 2026 ever is thinking about the WWE-ized version of 2006, which was one absolutely abhorrent, miserable experience for everybody involved. When people chant ECW, they chant from the period of September 1993 to January 2001.
Yeah.
To have Hardcore Heaven 94 as part of the WWE 2K26 video game is an honor for anyone that was involved in that, and I certainly was, anybody that was there, and there are many who were, And anyone who wants a genuine, authentic portrayal of ECW when it was revolutionizing, indeed evolutionizing the entire industry.
That also then leads on to the likes of Sandman and New Jack being in the game. Did you have a say in that? Were you asked to kind of collaborate on that, or was it just kind of put in the game without much
I
more?
was asked my opinion, and most likely after the decision was already made,
Mm.
and I concurred with their astute assessment that if we're going to have ECW representation within this game, here are two people that truly embodied the spirit of ECW at its height, because there was no greater entrance in the history of professional wrestling than the Sandman's, and there was no more authentic personality in the history of professional wrestling than the original gangster New Jack.
Yeah, agreed. Um, one of the great things about Showcase obviously is it introduces current players to the past. I know last year you did the Bloodline Dynasty Showcase mode. I know you'd be far too humble to ever agree to this, but were there ever to be a Paul Heyman Showcase mode? Are there key moments from your time at like WCW, ECW, WWE that you would like to see in there specifically?
Think they have it covered actually within the context of this video game. I don't really spend a lot of time looking back.
Mm.
I spend a lot of time looking into the future. I actually have tried out this video game because if I'm going to speak highly of it, I want to make sure that it's a quality video game. And obviously it is, because are you aware of the reviews of this game are
Yeah, I wrote one
spectacular.
of them. I wrote one.
And well, you should, sir. And it should be a glowing review because it's a great game. And I'm not that I am the world's foremost video game expert, but I can sure tell the difference between a great game and a bad game. And this is a great game. When I play the game, I'm looking at Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. I'm looking at CM Punk versus Roman Reigns.
Mm.
I'm looking at Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. I'm looking at a situation where I can preview this year's WrestleMania right there on my own screen. So to do so gives me the opportunity not only to enjoy all the aspects of this video game, but it also gives me the opportunity to preview WrestleMania 42, which to me is one of the secret sauces that make this such a great video game. And then after WrestleMania, you get to play these characters against each other in what you dream up as the great scenarios for WrestleMania 43 next year.
Yeah. With that in mind, obviously you're also in the game's My Rise, the kind of storyline mode where you, again, I don't mean to offend here, but you're portrayed as the villain character in that storyline, which I don't necessarily believe is to be 100% realistic. But
Well,
okay.
let me just be very clear. When you portray a villain in entertainment,
Mm.
the mindset historically has been the villain never views himself or herself as a villain. The villain always thinks that they have righteous indignation and they are rebelling against a system or a person or an organization or a circumstance in which they have righteous indignation against the slights that have been thrust upon them.
Mm.
And then you get the one of one and the unique mindset, Paul Heyman. I know I'm a villain. I embrace the fact that I'm a villain. I've been a villain since the day that I was born. And I have no problem admitting in public that I'm a villain because I am one.
That's understandable. With that in mind, sir, in this story mode, depending on the path the player takes, you're either representing Braun Breaker or Jordan Grace, which I found was interesting because I think over the course of your career you haven't managed, again to use that term, many female superstars. Like in reality, if you were to kind of pin your badge on one and that's to be your first major Paul Heyman gal, so to speak, in the current product, who do you think you would back?
I'm a big fan of Jordan Grace. To say that there is a female in the locker room today that should be the first Paul Heyman girl under the management and tutelage of Paul Heyman would be a slight to the other women in this locker room. There has never been a time in the history of WWE, professional wrestling, sports entertainment, or mixed martial arts that there has been such a ridiculously talented roster of females under one roof at the same time. I could sit here and run down or actually, I won't even say run down because that's a negative. Run up all the names that are on this roster. Start with Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill. You can go to Bianca Belair and AJ Lee. You can go to Natty and Maxine Dupree. You can go to Lash Legend and Nia Jax. You can go to the Bella Twins. You can go to Liv Morgan. You can go to Raquel. You can go to, I mean, my God, I can sit here for the next 20 minutes and rattle off these names. This is the most hyper-talented group of women in history, all under one roof. Jordynne Grace was the choice of 2K, a splendid choice indeed. What a magnificent athlete and performer Jordynne Grace is. I'm honored that I have a chance to work with her within WWE 2K26. And there are many other women, too many to mention, even though I mentioned a few before, but too many to mention that I would be honored to work with within this video game, because just like in real life, the women's roster right now in WWE is incomparable to any other roster in any other sport or form of entertainment in history.
Perfectly said. I'm conscious of time, so I don't want to take up any more of your time, which obviously is precious. Just a quick one. The company Acclaim, who made the ECW video game, has kind of returned. I wonder if you've got any kind of memories of that time of when the ECW video games were released back in the day.
Well, the ECW video game was pretty revolutionary for its time. We took things into the video game that had not been in video games before, and it was made at the time under quote unquote extreme circumstances, all puns intended.
Yeah.
ECW was the first promotion before WWE or WCW to have its own website. ECW beat WWE and WCW to the DVD marketplace. And the ECW video game had things in it that years later ended up in Grand Theft Auto, years later ended up in Fortnite, years later ended up in all of these video games that are the rage today. And these little things that were in the ECW video games have now become the big things in all of the video games that are hot on the marketplace today. So my memories of the ECW video games is that we were indeed what we were outside of the video game, which is the revolutionary and evolutionary force that completely changed the game and the video game within the industry.
Finally, I've saved this to the end because I get the feeling this will end the interview. Which was worse for you? Was it receiving a stomp from Seth Rollins earlier this month, or was it being body slammed by El Gigante in WCW Wrestle War 91?
I have been asked many questions today, and there was one reporter that I dealt with that I found to be intellectually lacking, and I have found you to be actually quite the brilliant interviewer, and was looking forward to speaking with you, just based on your review of the game and how articulate you are with your words. And rarely have I ever been so disappointed with the ignorance of a straight question as the one that you just asked. And I If you're not embarrassed to your fan base and your audience, I assure you, sir, I will be embarrassed for you.
Well, I'll be sure to do better if there is ever a next time, which appears now there may not be. Thank you very much, Mr. Heyman, for taking time to speak to me today, and best of luck for your boy Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Indeed.
VGC is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle for more podcasts, ad-free browsing and extra content. Thank you for your support.